Who is your avatar? Do you have an avatar? And I want to know who your avatar is. When you turn on that microphone, when you write that blog post, when you shake somebody's hand and you're trying to sell somebody something or introduce yourself to somebody, who is your avatar? We need to be looking at everything that we're doing in terms of who are we talking to? Who are we selling to? How are we going to get there? Myself in education, we're in that weird spot. We want to be making $1. We want to be finding the value. But a lot of times educators aren't quite interested in spending money on things. So we have to figure out how to create that content for people who are interested in supporting you. So take a moment right now, I'll give you a couple seconds and look at who is your avatar? Who are you speaking to? Is it the 5th grade teacher, or is it the 5th grade teacher who's interested in buying from you, interested in subscribing to you? And I see somebody here saying he thinks his avatar is the mid-career teacher leader looking for leadership opportunities. That's awesome. Thank you so much for commenting on that. Take a moment in our chat and tell us who your avatar is. While you're doing that, let's define a little bit what I say by avatar, right? Our avatar is really that person that we're writing our content to. So picture this, right? Close your eyes. What do they look like, right? What do they do? Are they a teacher, doctor, lawyer, administrator, business owner, public relations firm? Is the person that you're writing to the person that's consuming your content? Is the person that you're writing to, is the person that you're interacting with, are they going to be the person on your podcast? A lot of times for me, the person that's on my podcast isn't the person whom I'm writing to. A lot of times for me, the person who's on my podcast, I'm going to only know for a half hour, for 45 minutes for the recording. But my relationship might be with the marketing, the communications, the public relations, the whoever it is. So when we look at this, we need to figure out, what does your avatar want? What does your avatar want from you? What are they seeking? And not only what are they seeking, but how are they seeking their information? Meaning, if we go to one of our examples here and it says my avatar is that mid-career teacher leader, we want to figure out every single thing about that mid-level teacher leader. Is that person on Twitter? Is that person on Facebook? Do they do Pinterest? Are they more a podcast listener? How are they doing their podcast? You really want to understand and learn where the data of your avatar is so you can create that content for. Let's see, I have somebody here saying my avatar is an instructional coach who is looking to build their confidence as a coach through receiving coaching. That's a great avatar. That's a really great avatar. And I have one saying here, my avatar is educators who don't have the time to research ed tech tools, but wants to implement ed tech tools and practices into their classrooms. Eric, I'm glad you said that. I want you to keep that in mind. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go through here. So again, with our avatar, what do they look like? What do they already know is important? Okay, so for Eric's here, he's looking for teachers that want to get into technology, but don't quite know how to, or don't quite know where to. That's awesome. What kind of things do your avatar want to learn? What are they seeking out? What are they typing into Google? What are they searching for? And then really, what are their goals and objectives? Are they coming to you just to listen to your podcast? Are they coming to you to read your blog post? Or are they coming to you to buy something, to rent you for an hour? Are they coming to you to seek your help, your counseling, your consulting, whatever it is? What are they looking to do for you here? We always have a few questions when we're looking at this. We always say, what are the most important qualities of your avatar? And for me, that's an easy answer. The important quality of my avatar is somebody who wants to hire me, somebody who wants to take action on something. And it's okay. We can create blog posts for the masses. We can create podcasts for the masses. But we also want to keep focused on the fact that the stuff that we're putting out, the stuff that we're creating, has to have a conversion rate, has to have a low bounce rate. And by bounce rate, I mean somebody who listens to a show and then never comes back, or goes to a website and then never comes back again. One of the metrics that we're going to talk about tonight, and I really want you to go look in your Google Analytics for, is something called bounce rate. And I also want you to look up dwell time. And again, bounce rate is I go to your sites. It's like I step into your front door and then I leave your house. Or do I step into your front door and then I enter your kitchen, enter your living room, sit down for a while, and then leave? How many different pages do I go to? That's your bounce rate. Dwell time is a very, very important ranking for Google. Dwell time is how long are you actually on the website? Am I on your website for 30 seconds or am I on your website for 30 minutes? And any podcaster out there knows I could have 1,000 people on my blog post page, but if I notice that the average person is only on my blog post page for 30 seconds, they're not listening to my podcast, or at least they're not listening to my podcast on my website. Okay. So what are the most important qualities of your avatar? There's a lot of questions to be answered, or a lot of answers to be thought about in there. What happens if your avatar decides to get up and leave the room? This is something I'm looking forward to talking to Tom about. Of what happens if they decide they don't want you? Is that good? Is that bad? What happens if you're selling to the wrong person? That's certainly something I've been guilty of many times, even recently. And then lastly here, how do we determine what is the best way of connecting with our avatars? What do you think the answer is? And please leave this one in the chat. Like, how do we determine what is the best way of connecting with our avatars? So I think that the answer for that is a little bit easier than we give it credit for. But let's see if you guys can come up with all that stuff. What is the best way to determine our avatars? And maybe some of you guys, if you want to like type the questions and stuff into the chat, we can get some information going on there. I'll tell you one of the things that's been very helpful for me. I actually created a needs assessment. And this is something that we get from education, but I actually created a brief survey that I give out to all of my email clients or anybody who signs up for my email list. If you're on this webinar, you probably got an email that says, please take my user survey. And I do that knowing that I'm going to get a good range of people. And what that's going to do, that actually gives me a few metrics. Number one, that gets people to click on my email. And we'll talk about why that's important. The first email, the second email that goes out, we want people to click on that. Now, the next thing is in the needs assessment, I'm asking you a series of questions. How old are you? Male or female? What do you do? What are you looking for? And then the most important thing I always ask in my needs assessment is, how can I help you? Why? Like, what are you looking to learn? And I take all of that data very seriously, and I take all of that data and I use that again to put cash in my pocket. Because when people are asking you about your lists and they're looking to invest in you and in your services, they're going to be asking questions such as, like, what's the average income for your listeners? Are you mostly speaking to males? Are you mostly speaking to females? What's the average age? What do they do? And if you can come back, for instance, for me, I know that the majority of the people in my newsletter list are teachers. Of course they are. But I could also tell you that 45% of my teachers are tech coaches. And so when I'm working with tech coaching type companies or tech coaching type companies, I can look and I can show them the data that says, look, I've got X number of people on my list, but 45% of them say that they're tech coaches. Why don't you come with me and we'll put together a package and I'll support you. I'll sell your product. We'll get things going. And the next thing you know, we have a contract. And it all comes down to setting up that first needs assessment that is going to ask your users, who are you? What can I do for you? Where do you come from? All these basic questions. You'd be surprised how many people actually answered it. Maybe some of you guys on the survey have answered it, and that's awesome. And if you have, thank you for that.
You've been listening to the TeacherCast Educational Network, hosted by Jeff Bradbury. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter @TeacherCast or online at www.teachercast.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.